Well, as Robin mentioned, I'm based in Oakland, California, but I do help support our projects across the state, our country, and internationally. There it is. So thank you again. And I'm really, really thankful to present today on my role to support the Noaa Marine Debris Program, um, specifically as a California Regional Coordinator, but we'll touch base on a few other of those projects. Next slide. So today I will do my best to cover about me, about my background, my academic and career journey to date, some insight about the Noaa Marine Debris Program, as well as touch base on career opportunities, and hopefully there's time for Q&A. Again, just want to thank Robin and you all for your understanding as our tech issues. Next slide, please. So to start us off, I want to do a really quick activity. We're going to take the next 15 seconds and see how much plastic items you can find in your immediate space. Starting the clock right now, look around your room and how many plastic items can you see? Remember, plastic can show up in really unexpected places. You might now be starting to realize how many materials around you are made out of plastic. All right, giving it a few more seconds. How many did you get? More than 10, more than 20? I guess around me, I can see at least 11 or so at the very least. Now kind of thinking on that, where do we think this plastic is going to end up? And can these items be recycled or landfilled, or are there alternative options? Next slide, please. So even the most diligent recycler can control what happens to their waste once it leaves the bin. It can blow from outdoor cans to waterways and storm drains, be discarded because of contamination, or break apart anywhere along the way. Once this happens, it can end up even in the most remote places like the beaches of Alaska or Hawaii. Discussing plastics and how they're properly disposed of is part of the work I do to help support a clean ocean for all. Next slide, please. So I have supported the Noaa Marine Debris Program for the last 6 years. I really do love my job, and I get to work with amazing partners across the country and in California to ensure we have a clean environment and that debris does not belong there. I haven't always been talking trash for my job, and I've had a lot of great opportunities to get here. Next slide, please. All right, so here's a quick snapshot of all the places that I've been lucky enough to live, study, and work. And I'll try to cover these by doing really quick highlights of each and how it's relevant for my current job. Next slide, please. All right, so bringing us back to the early days. I was born and raised in Jupiter, Florida. This is about 2 hours north of Miami. My mother immigrated from Cuba. I met my dad, whose family also lived in Miami for generations. My parents both loved to spend as much time outdoors and on the water as possible and passed down their love of nature to me and my sisters. Where I grew up had a huge impact on my love of the environment. South Florida holds a special place in my heart with its aqua blue waters, snorkeling, and loggerhead sea turtle nesting as memories. Well, in addition to Florida's beauty, I also grew up witnessing countless hurricanes and destruction, increased development of natural areas, coastal erosion, and pollution to the area that I know and love. Little did I know this would shape my academic and professional career to protect our ocean. Next slide, please. For my undergraduate, I went to the University of Florida in Gainesville. The University of Florida is one of the top school universities in the state and very well known for its college football. Pictured here is the Swamp football stadium that holds over 90,000 fans and students. Next slide, please. Unironically, here's an actual swamp a few minutes outside of my college where you can see where the stadium gets its said name. I really loved this program and loved being able to still be in unique parts of nature and habitats. Next slide. So I graduated cum laude in bachelor's in marketing with a minor in sustainability studies and a second minor in international development and humanitarian assistance. This was a great balance for me for understanding business administration and markets, but having a sustainability and social lens. It was also helpful to understand the role businesses and agencies can play in supporting the environment and its people. Next slide, please. This led me to my first communications internship at a nonprofit called Caribbean Conservation Corporation, now called Turtle Conservancy, focused on increasing awareness of issues affecting sea turtles in the Caribbean and Atlantic Ocean. This was my first step in the marine field, and I did various tasks from social media to data entry to event planning and administration. After this, I did have a handful of internships with focus on environmental and conservation nonprofits. Next, please. Well, after college, I kind of switched that all around and I spent a year in Madrid, Spain, where I became certified as an educator with a Teaching for English as a Foreign Language certificate and taught classes to large global businesses such as Deloitte, universities, and public schools. In addition to me helping me practice my Spanish, this was a useful time period to develop my public speaking and lesson planning skills. Next slide, please. After my time in España, I moved back to Florida and had the opportunity to use my recent teaching experience abroad in an environmental education internship at a local nature center. I taught classes to adults and kids about issues about how humans and our rivers are connected to the ocean. Next slide, please. It was during that experience that I learned firsthand how local environmental issues like pollution are impacted by global and national policies and the role that we have to play solve it. It was also, I had a lot of experience working with small nonprofits, but I realized I needed to return to academia to learn the context of how governments make decisions on a high level and set policy. So this led me to seeking my dual master's program, where I received my Master of Arts in International Affairs and a Master of Arts in Natural Resources and Sustainable Development. This dual graduate program was great as it balanced both international policies and how these policies were implemented in different countries around the world. Next slide, please. This brought me to living in Washington, D.C. for half of my American University coursework, where I learned about global policies and legislations, and also how to live in snow and cold places, which has been very helpful. Next slide, please. For my other half of my graduate school program, I was at the United Nations mandated University for Peace and lived outside of San Jose, Costa Rica for a year. Here's a picture of one of my classes as we walked through Corcovado National Park. I was able to study environmental issues impacting Central American ecosystems, including illegal fishing and dumping, regional efforts to promote sustainable ecotourism, and ocean management. Next slide. So instead of writing one research thesis, I participated in a graduate group research project, also referred to as practicum, that focused on environmental cooperation over water resources in the Middle East. So for this, I participated in peace building discussions and site visits in Israel and the Palestinian West Bank. Our paper was published and had opportunities to present at international conferences in DC and Turkey. I felt very lucky to have these professional and academic opportunities to learn, to travel and learn how different countries and communities work. And all of these experiences really helped me get a unique lens to better understand how the environment, social, economic, and cultural resilience are all connected to environmental issues. Next slide, please. So after completing both graduate degrees, I stayed in Washington, D.C. and supported U.S. federal government efforts such as a contractor for the National Science Foundation and the United States Agency for International Development. I supported projects tied to tracking funding, budgets, communications, and all this gave me insight on really how the federal government works. Okay, so next slide, please. So bringing us up to today. So all of these jobs and opportunities were so important for my career growth and led me to my to working with the Noaa Marine Debris Program, where I've been since 2016. I want to note here that I'm technically not a federal employee, rather I'm a contractor under Linker Technologies to help support the program. But I more or less do all the activities for the program, and I'll be explaining my role and what that means for the program over the next few slides. Next, please. So a little bit about the Marine Debris Program, if you're not aware. So the Noaa Marine Debris Program was established in 2006 by an act of Congress. So the program is the federal lead to investigate and prevent the adverse impacts of marine debris. So here is a picture of our Noaa Marine Debris crew of about 20 of us across the country. So we work in tasks such as research scientists, response, communications, and headquarter tasks, as well as regional coordinators. Next slide, please. So to start us off, what am I talking about when I say marine debris? So here's the federal definition of marine debris used by our program. In short, is any solid man-made material that is in the coastal and marine environment in Great Lakes that should not be there. So marine debris can range from really tiny items such as microplastics to consumer debris such as single-use plastics, up to fishing gear and even larger abandoned and derelict vessels. Next slide, please. So what is the source of marine debris? Well, it's people. It can get into our ocean and waterways in a number of ways. It can come from human activities that take place out at sea, such as commercial or recreational fishing, cargo ships, and derelict vessels. However, most marine debris comes from activities that take place on land. This includes littering, dumping, poor waste management, stormwater discharge, or extreme weather events. Really, no matter how it got there, litter in the marine, coastal, and Great Lakes environment should not be there. Next slide, please. So you might be aware of some of the impacts, but just to go over a few of these, that marine debris can cause a lot of problems for people, ecosystems, and our economy. So do you want to sit or swim at a beach littered with trash? Of course not. Animals who live there don't either, but they don't have a choice. So debris especially impacts wildlife such as whales, turtles, birds, and other species that become entangled in, for example, fishing nets and single-use plastics. Marine debris items can also impact wildlife through ingestion. So when animals swallow debris, it can block their stomachs and even create a false sense of being full. Some very large debris, such as nets and abandoned and derelict vessels, can also smother important sensitive habitats like seagrass and corals. Also, marine debris can have impacts to our economy. So dirty beaches definitely affect tourism and recreation for local communities as well. Next slide, please. Okay, so now I've taken you on the pretty sad impacts of marine debris. I want to change gears, go to more exciting initiatives of how we can actually solve the problem. So at the federal level, the Noaa Marine Debris Program supports efforts to address these issues, and we provide support to communities throughout our work throughout the country and the world. So our work focuses across 6 strategic goals, program pillars listed here, and I'll go over each briefly. Next, please. Our first pillar is prevention to reduce sources of marine debris. So we fund a number of prevention projects with the goal of turning off the tap, so stopping marine debris at its source. We do this with partnering with students, teachers, as well as other community members to change behaviors, whether this is in the classroom or schools, whether this is connecting with fishers on best disposal options, really a wide range. Next, please. All right, so every year our program also funds a number of community-based marine debris removal projects, as well as large cleanup events at the Northwest Hawaiian Islands pictured here. To date, we've funded more than 160 projects and removed more than 22,000 metric tons of debris. Next slide, please. So our third pillar is research. So in order to answer complex questions about marine debris, my program funds research projects with academia, state and federal agencies, and non-governmental organizations to study anything from the smallest of microplastics and microfibers to the fate and transport of macro or bigger marine debris items and where it ends up, as well as other emerging questions. Next slide, please. Our program also supports monitoring and detection through our standardized monitoring protocols that measure macro-sized debris. So this is roughly the size of a bottle cap or larger on our shorelines. This also functions as a network of partnering organizations and volunteers who contribute their data to form a much bigger picture of what the issue is. Next slide, please. Our fifth pillar is response. So following a storm or natural disaster, materials that were previously on land could be washed in the coastal zone and threaten navigation, making it really hard to reach people in need and safety. So our program supports these efforts by supporting local, state, and federal agencies with information on how to respond and resources. Next slide, please. So our last pillar is going to be regional coordination. So marine debris can be different around the United States, and that's why we have staff located in 10 different regions across the country, shown in different colors here. So our staff helps provide regional expertise and coordinates with local partners on marine debris issues. Next, please. All right, so this is where I come in, and I serve as the California Regional Coordinator, but I will say in the past, I've also served as the Mid-Atlantic Regional Coordinator. But in my current role, I am based in Oakland and help support the program's mission across California and internationally with projects in Mexico. As you can see by my happiness in this photo, I really do love the work that we do. As much as I would love to get dirty and cleaning up our coast, a large part of my job is actually coordination and calls, emails and reports, and supporting to our partners who are all wonderful. But sometimes I am lucky enough to get my hands dirty and able to visit our sites as well. Next slide, please. So as the regional coordinator, I have to be in the loop on what organizations are working on the issue in the region. This requires a lot of coordination. Tied to this, I support regional action planning that brings together diverse marine debris partners from different sectors, different areas to identify actions to combat marine debris in each region. So in California, I work closely with the California Ocean Protection Council on their 6-year California Ocean Litter Prevention Strategy, which was published in 2018. So this strategy includes about 50 partners leading 64 actions, which actions focus on prevention, source reduction, waste management, research, behavior change, and cleanup, quite a diverse set. Really trying to focus together what actions are priorities for this specific state. So what I do is I bring our partners together through regular updates to promote sharing ideas and providing progress on the actions. So this is done through webinars, workshops, work group meetings, and progress reports. Next slide. I also serve as our technical monitor, which is a lead for our grant projects, such as those pictured here in California. I meet with partners monthly, ensure project tasks are completed on time, our budgets are aligned, that the compliance work has been done, and support just getting the word out about these amazing projects. Next slide, please. All right, as I mentioned, sometimes I am able to have some fun at work and get out there. So here's one of my dumpster photo shoots. This is taken in a project site in Oahu, Hawaii, in support of our National Marine Sanctuaries Foundation. And we provided support for the dumpster to clean up the local area. As you can tell, I had quite a fun day. Next. I'm also able to meet with our next generation of young leaders by visiting and doing lessons with K through 12 schools, an outreach which has since pivoted the past few years to virtual engagement. Next slide, please. I've also had the opportunity to support our national efforts, really to talk the talk and walk the walk. So with the Marine Debris Program, we're really focused on how to reduce waste, both in our offices and events, which I really enjoy helping with. Next slide. Additionally, I've had the opportunity to lead planning for the International Marine Debris Conference with the United Nations Environment, as well as attend high-level meetings on behalf of the Noaa Marine Debris Program. Next slide. So the most rewarding aspect of my job is the people who care about finding a solution to the sometimes really daunting global issue of marine debris. I really thoroughly enjoy working with our amazing California marine debris community who's genuinely passionate about solving this issue. And I only have words of gratitude and appreciation for my wonderful Noaa colleagues and past employers who have mentored, helped, and provided professional opportunities to really grow my skill set and do my part on the global, national, local issue of marine debris. Next slide, please. So marine debris is a global issue that touches on everything. My coursework and diverse past jobs gave me a great basis for understanding the issue. But if interested in similar work, I think a few skills that might be helpful is your ability to communicate with both technical and non-technical audiences, which is a huge part of my job. I was lucky enough to work in communications in past jobs, which has been really helpful in understanding how to speak to different scientific communities versus the public versus students. Also with project management and tracking, my position requires a lot of juggling all at once. So I have to effectively manage my time and be comfortable from jumping one topic to the next. Also, an interest and familiarity with sciences is also helpful. Although, as you can tell from my presentation, I'm not necessarily a scientist by training. However, I've had unique opportunities to learn science and research through all my past jobs. I've always gravitated towards other education opportunities tied to the environment, and I attend as much webinars and trainings as possible. It's also helpful to be very self-motivated and passionate about the topic. I will say loving my job and my coworkers really makes getting up every day that much better. Lastly, I just want to share, be open to job opportunities. I did not have a direct career journey to Noaa, but I kept following my interest and where I wanted to learn, and it really brought me to a place that I'm really proud of. Next slide, please. So there are quite a handful of education opportunities available for undergraduate and graduate students on the Noaa website, including scholarships and fellowships. Another great site is USA Jobs. So this is a platform for all federal government jobs where you can create a job profile, search for student internships, as well as early to late career opportunities. Want to note that the Marine Debris Program and Noaa hires both federal employees and contractors for the government, like me. So I would encourage you to look for companies that support Noaa as well, in addition to Noaa. Next, please. Please visit the Noaa Marine Debris Program website if you're interested to learn more about our program and how you can be involved. My contact information is also available on that site, so I'm really welcome any and all to reach out to me directly if there's any questions about the Marine Debris Program or where I got and how I got here. Next slide, please. So I just want to thank you all again for taking the time to join me, and I really wish you the best of luck on your career journey. I know it'll be great, and thank all of the Ocean Institute as well as sponsors for hosting this event today. With that, I am happy to take any and all questions. And thank you, Robin, for helping be my slide presenter. I really appreciated that today.
Of course, yeah. So let me pull up the questions we have here. So someone is wondering, do you have any summer programs for high school students?
Yeah, that's a really great question. The Marine Debris Program, as of right now, doesn't have any specific high school opportunities. We do collaborate with a few universities, but I will say Noaa has a handful of opportunities for folks who just graduated high school. So we really recommend you checking out Noaa's website, Noaa's student website too.
Awesome. Someone else is wondering, what are some jobs in the environmental/marine fields that you want more people to know about or may have not heard of before?
Yeah, I guess for me, I wasn't aware. I mean, I certainly knew the debris issue was a big issue just by going to the beach and seeing how much, but I didn't realize how nuanced specifically this job is. It touches on so many different things. Like, as I mentioned, like we do work in prevention with working with schools. We work with fishermen and fisher folks to identify like how to reduce their gear being lost in the ocean. We work with state and local agencies on response after hurricanes. And lastly, me talking about, our regional stakeholders. There's such a diverse network of different folks working on this, nonprofits to academia, to students, to other groups that it's really amazing to see like how many different aspects and how much this touches on. So I think that was something that when I first started, I didn't really realize how much this connects with everything else, but it's also making it really exciting.
Awesome. So someone else just asked, are there any job openings that you know of on the East Coast for entry level or beginning scientists? Yeah,
great question. And just for context, I lived in Washington, D.C. for about 10 years prior to moving to California, where I'm at today. So my suggestion with that would be definitely checking out the USA Jobs site, and then also keeping an eye on all the available listservs you can. So I know there's a handful of, just going back to debris, like a global marine debris community that lists quite a number of jobs. There's a lot of also listservs. Ocean Plastic Listserv is another great resource. And yeah, just kind of keeping an eye out on that. Another suggestion that I've been told was if you wanted to create a job search alert on Google, so rather than having to always search for information, create some specific Google keywords alerts so that it'll be emailed to you to try to save time. So those are just a few examples I can think of.
So someone wants to know, do you generally hire people who are international applicants? How would they go about finding information about that?
Yes, certainly. And I think, welcome any and all interested in this issue. And Noaa definitely really promotes hiring really wide and diverse stakeholders from anywhere with geographical background. And so sometimes with federal agency jobs, there might be kind of a classified type of requirement, but for the most part, I would say be open and try out USA Job Search, create a job profile, and then kind of go from there. I will say that website, it's kind of daunting at first. It's a lot of information and sections to upload, but once you have that completed, you're able to see, and also employers are able to contact you through that if you have your profile available.
Awesome. So we have a couple about the marine mammalogy field. Do you know anything about that for Noaa?
Will you repeat that one more time?
Marine mammalogy field? that Noaa's doing work with?
I don't actually. I probably should, so I will get back to you and look into that. Yeah, I don't know about that specific project. I apologize.
Totally okay. Someone else is wondering, do you know of any universities in the US Noaa works closely with?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I don't want to say most universities, but Noaa really, has such a large play across, across the United States that whether it's between what we do more on the weather side or the ocean side, there's also the weather side of Noaa. We kind of refer to it sometimes as the wet side and the dry side for the oceans and the weather and atmospheric team. But between those two and many other divisions, there's just so many connections with universities as well.
Great. A couple more questions before we can wrap on up. Somebody is wondering, what's the best way to contact you if they have specific questions?
Yeah, so my email address is available on the Noaa Marine Debris Program website. If you click on the California page, you will find my information at the bottom. And just feel free to email me, and happy to connect through email or setting up a call.
And then, do you have any internship opportunities for recent college graduate students or college grads?
Yeah, I would definitely go back to the website that the Noaa website as well and look up student opportunities. That's one way to find it on Google, but there's quite a numbers from Hollings scholarships as well as fellowships. The Sea Grant program also offers a lot of unique opportunities. So there's a lot of information out there, I'll say that. But if you end up having any questions on any of those programs, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help or connect you with someone that might know more than me about a specific program in Noaa.
Someone else is wondering, does Noaa work often with environmental lawyers? Do you know, since you have a background in international affairs, if there's colleges that have like specifically great marine law programs?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, we do work closely with lawyers. Noaa has a general counsel that is comprised of mostly attorneys that support our projects and make sure that the paperwork is completed. Since we're mandated by Congress, we also have to make sure that we're making sure that we share information and reports that align with what our mandates are. So there's actually a lot of really unique opportunities there. Unfortunately, although most of my family went to law school, I do not have any suggestions on necessarily environmental law and universities, but I know there's a handful of like amazing organizations and university programs that are connected to the two.
Awesome. So this will be our last question. What does a typical day at work look like for you?
Great question. I don't think I've ever had the same 2 days before. Certainly things have changed over the past years with everything being a little bit more virtual. But a typical day for me would be calling, having some meetings with different stakeholders, reviewing grant applications, doing things such as this here today. And then, also helping lead our strategy efforts and action planning. So planning to host webinars and workshops and then hopefully, being able to get back in the field, get kind of dirty, do the cleanups, and really, try to make our ocean a better place. So again, no 2 days are the same, but it's always really exciting and really interesting, just the different issues that happen.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all the questions that we have. Again, if you have any more questions, feel free to ask them in the Q&A section, or you can use the chat feature in the agenda. I just wanted to thank Chrissy and her time in her presentation today about her work with Noaa. And thank you all to all of our attendees for coming by. Please make sure you utilize those contact informations, and we wish you all the best in your next steps.
Yeah, thank you so much, Robin and the team. And again, apologize for technical issues, but that's just the world we live in right now. So really happy that you were able to help me host this today. And really just want to echo again, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help in any way that I can, even if you're not interested in marine debris, but interested in other offices within Noaa. Would love to connect you with the appropriate contacts. So hopefully being able to connect with you all sooner and later.
All right. Thanks again.